Thrill Me.
This show is part of the Thrill Me Podcast Network. Experience more on Facebook and YouTube.
Not only Facebook and YouTube, you old school intro, you can check us out on TikTok, Instagram, Patreon, especially because we have a lot of cool things going down there through all the shows we got on the Thrill Me Podcast Network. I am Zach Hilton, one of three that is going to dive into this top 10 and make a Thrill Me Podcast Network top 10 of 2023 movies. Also with me is the one and the only Review It Rob, who just got a comment on his new video because a ding went off in my head.
What a long name for me right there. That's like one of those names people come up with on Up, Up, Down, Down, where they're like, I don't know what my name is. Will be like Kofi Kingston's name, Mr. 24/7, Mr. Gacho, you know.
Yeah.
But yes,
Yeah.
glad to be here. Yes, that outdated opening. What a fun time. What are we?
I'm
We got
working on
X
it.
now instead of Twitter, I guess is what we have.
I'm
Like we're
working on
stuck
it.
in 2023.
I am stuck in 2023. The old school comedian down at the bottom of your screen is the one, the only wonderful Nick Pearl.
That's copyrighted.
Ooh.
Hi,
It is.
that's
a
me.
infringement.
And did you really just call me by my full name?
Yeah, I gave you by your government name, you piece
You
of
gave me
shit.
the government name, right?
And nobody would have known that until you said that.
That's right. So, this is the video. If you've been watching throughout the week, Rob released his own top 10. I released mine. Wonderful released his. And now we are starting with the Thrill Me ranking on this fun Friday video format. We are releasing the Thrill Me Network's top 10. So, the way this is going to work, I got all the lists here, and each one of them will just quickly snap off all their rankings, but we are going to combine these lists. Whatever all three we match will automatically have the higher position. If two, then that'll get into the middle, and then we're going to have to fight to figure out what are the bottom movies. Because let me tell you, when I watched Rob's and I watched Wonderful's, our lists are all over the place. There are some matchings, but that's... Okay, I'm excited about to get into the list. Before we get into the list, though, what was 2023 movies for you? I saw 65 of them. Wonderful. How many did you watch, and what was the overall thoughts of 2023 movies?
I ended up at 67 at the end of the year, and overall, I thought this was a solid year. For a while, I didn't really remember much standing out, but then when I started actually going through the list of all the films that I had seen this past year, I realized I maybe could have put together a list of like 20 solid films I could stand behind. But yeah, I thought everything this year was pretty solid, pretty good. There wasn't a lot of things that looking back on that I go, oh my God, I wish I didn't spend my time on that. There are a few. There was one specifically on Shudder that I really wish I didn't waste 2 hours of my time with, but everybody said it was scary. It wasn't scary to look at a closet for 5 minutes. It was tiring. It was boring. But yeah, I thought overall solid.
He was watching the Epstein tapes.
Apparently, yeah.
I'm just waiting to find out that my quarterback said somebody who works at ABC is going to be on that list. So I believe my quarterback.
I believe you.
Yep, we believe it.
Yeah.
How about you, Rob? How many movies did you get to check out this year, and what was your overall feeling of it?
I think I ended up around 50. I didn't do a great
not
job
bad.
keeping track, but
Right.
and I watched several movies multiple times in theaters. But I thought the year overall, when I look back on it, was horror heavy. Like horror had a pretty big bad year this year with classic franchises coming back, new creations hitting the folds. Like I look back on the year, it's pretty solid. Comic books took a big uppercut to the chin this year, so we're going to see how that all ends up. Disney didn't dominate. Universal was the dominator this year, so it's an interesting year to look back on and see how things are changing and what may happen in 2024.
You're not wrong. I watched 65, like I said, and I enjoyed this year. And what's kind of weird is usually my top 10's full of things that I absolutely loved. And I'll be quite honest, I think I only love 5 movies, which are my top 5. And then it becomes like a really like that movie to I like that movie. That movie's fine, and then god awful. Like that was my ranking for all of those. But I think you're right. It's a solid year, and weirdly enough, I think the thing that I take away from it is that not till the end is when I ended up loving everything. And I did have to catch things late, like Oppenheimer and Saltburn. I didn't watch until like the last week of December. So there were movies that came out earlier in the year, Tetris being one of them. But by the end of it, I was like, okay, this is a solid year. And I think my top 10 list I'm pretty proud of. And we will start with my top 10 list as I pull it up and I keep talking because I want to say things. There it is. So, my top 10 from 10 to 1. Number 10, Talk to Me. Number 9, The Iron Claw. Number 8, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning, formerly known as Part 1. Number 7, still a Michael J. Fox movie. Number 6, John Wick 4. Number 5, Air. Number 4, TMNT Mutant Mayhem. Number 3, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Number 2, Oppenheimer. And number 1, Saltburn. So that's my top 10. And when I read that, I'm like, oh my God, yes, I ended up loving pretty much everything top 10 wise, but it took all year to get there. Rob, we'll go with you. We'll move to you. Do you have your list on hand?
Yeah, going 10 to 1. At number 10, I had Dungeons and Dragons. 9, I have The Last Voyage of the Demeter. 8, I had Evil Dead Rise. At 7, I have Wonka. At 6, I had Talk to Me. 5, Exorcist Believer. 4, I had Megan. 3, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. 2, Hunger Games: The Songbird of Snakes and... Yeah. And number 1, The Flash.
Nice. And I noticed we had a couple of the same in there, so that's good to know. Wonderful. How about you? What is your 10 to 1?
My 10 to 1, we all had this one in our top 10. Talk to Me kicked off my list at 10. Air came in at 9. When Evil Lurks came in at 8. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 at 7. At 6 was Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. At 5 was The Holdovers. 4, Asteroid City. 3 was Barbie. 2 was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem. And my number 1 of 2023 was Oppenheimer.
Okay. All right. So, I mean...
Well, I do want to... Well, sorry, can I jump in really quickly? Because you guys did mention a couple movies that actually... What I said, like, there were 20 solid films this past year. So narrowing it down to like the 10 that really left the impressions that I really truthfully thought most about. But you guys did mention a couple, like Mission Impossible, Dungeons and Dragons, Evil Dead, Rise, and Wonka. All were on my outskirts. At some point, like Mission Impossible, D&D, and Evil Dead Rise were very much in my top 10 for a lot of the year. It wasn't until I finally got to see like Asteroid City, The Holdovers came out, like when those later of the year, catching up on some of the summer ones I missed, but catching those end of the year ones is where they kind of started to just kind of have their fall out of the top 10, just because it became so hard to keep them in there. The other, my top 10, I'm very proud of my top 10. I really am proud of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of ran into that same thing where I had Ninja Turtles in my top 10 for a while. That one kind of got kicked out after watching more films. Same with the Super Mario Brothers, which I thought would be in a top 10. It was in the top 10 throughout most of the year, and just as time went on, it just dropped down to like an honorable mention for me.
Right. No, I mean, like I said, it is a weird freaking year. Like up until the end, Barbie ended at 13 for me. Saw 10, which I thought would make the top 10, it got dropped to 15. Evil Dead Rise for me is 22. Like, if you could have seen, you would have been like, what the fuck are you talking about on some of these movies? Like, okay, Mario, you bring it up, it's 41 for me. 40 fucking 1.
What I will say about Mario this year is that it continued to trend. I told Zach this. I don't think I ever mentioned it to Rob, and I'm going to share it with all of you watching. I think it was a solid year for animation. I just think that Spider-Man and the Ninja Turtles were the solid, like, definitive, like, that was pure art and that was great storytelling and that captured the characters. But Super Mario Brothers was really gorgeous as well. Really crisp, really like a fun family film. So it was a solid year for the animated films. Like they all really crushed it this year. I cannot recall watching an animated movie this year going, "Oh God, I wish this would." To be fair, I didn't really see any of the Pixar films though, so
I didn't see.
I'm kind of partly why Disney did not have $1 billion movie this year.
Right.
Saw the trailers in theaters plenty of times.
Right? Yeah.
Plenty of times.
Yeah, and I pay for Disney Plus, where I think they all are, and I still haven't.
That's like the Gran Turismo trailer. Saw that thing 100,000 times in theaters. Did I see the movie? No.
I will tell you this: that movie, not that bad. It was one of the films that I watched at the end of the year. It was enjoyable. It was, that film's biggest thing is it's very cliche, and they change up some of the chain of events to make it more dramatic, which it doesn't need. They put an accident that happens years after the end of the movie as the catalyst to end Act 2 and kick off Act 3, and it's like there's no need for that. You didn't need that.
Yeah.
His story without that being there is fine.
Okay, so let's look at the list of.
Let me ask this question: was there a movie y'all saw this year that you completely forgot came out this year? Like, for instance, when you just said John Wick, I'm like, oh my God, John Wick did come out this year.
Tetris, I was almost convinced came out in November or December because there was a movie that I watched that ended up Air. I loved Air so much, and I remember my friend Jason being like, oh, you should watch Tetris. This is really good too. But I was still so entranced with Air that I didn't feel like watching yet another kind of like life story kind of thing. And I think during the time Michael J. Fox movie came out, so I wasn't in the headspace to watch another like kind of real life story. And then when I saw on Apple that it said 2023, I said, you got to be shitting me. So that's how I got back into it.
Knock at the Cabin was the one that when I looked back on, I was like, oh my God, that was this year. Why does that feel like that was why did that feel like that was so long ago? Like it didn't. I forgot it was a February film or something.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
How about you, Rob? You brought it up.
John Wick. Completely forgot John Wick happened this year.
Oh my God, that was one that ended up at my number 12.
Fucking, let me tell you the wildest part about all this is that most of these movies, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 out of my top 10 I watched at home and not theater. Now that's unlikely for me. That is wild. And they made theater appearances. It's just like with like Oppenheimer. I was just like, I can't spare 4 hours to go see this fucking movie.
Yeah.
I can at home, but which by the way, I have the 4K edition, like Blu-ray with the IMAX stuff. Put that Dolby soundbar up. My God, that thing played well. All right, so let's get into this. I believe I heard Guardians 3 is Rob's number 3, my number 3, and your number 7?
Yes.
So I think out of all three of us that have a movie together, that's number 1. Because 2 number 3s and a number 7.
Okay.
And then
that makes sense. Yeah.
Talk to Me is a number 10, and a what?
I have it at 6.
You have a 6. So it's 2 number 10s and a 6. So that should take the second spot, correct?
That would make sense to me.
We don't have any more that are joint. Am I right?
Like if we were going to debate against them, I would say Guardians was the better film either way. So
absolutely. But I'm just saying that like those in ranking score, that would be. But are those the only 2 movies that we matched up 3-wise?
I believe so.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So from there, let's go to the ones that have 2. I know Oppenheimer was my number 2 and your number 1, Wonderful. Correct?
Yes.
So that automatically should Oppenheimer. That'll go there. All right. What other 2s do we have?
I believe Air was mentioned, as well as Spider-Man and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, if I recall.
I have TMNT. I do not have Spider-Man.
Did you have a Spider-Man, Rob?
No.
No. Okay. So then
Okay.
I believe it was Air and TMNT between you.
Where's Air for you?
Air is 9.
And it's my 5. Where's TMNT for you?
2.
2. Okay, so TMNT, because it's my number 4.
I would say that was the higher one.
TMNT, Mutant Mayhem, and then Air. Well, this is perfect. Okay, so I think that's all of 2s that we have in common. Correct?
I believe so.
Okay, now let's get the fighting.
All right.
Wonderful's number 1's already taken, so he's
so is
already
my number
off.
2.
So you're off of those. Me and Rob can now talk The Flash and Saltburn.
Wow.
So,
I haven't seen Saltburn, so I don't have much to go
Wow,
off
what an argument we're about to have here.
What an argument. So this is what I'll say. I mean this all seriously. I think Rob should have The Flash because out of both of us with our number 1s, he's seen The Flash 147 fucking times.
Yeah.
And I've only seen Saltburn once. So
I'll give you that. I'll give you that.
As a number 1 movie, I feel like that's pretty fucking fair. Okay, so The Flash.
That's an easy win right there. Man.
Is number 6.
Man, I really wanted to heal this conversation though about why Saltburn should have.
Well, don't worry. Saltburn took lucky number 7.
Yeah, which part of the movie? I've heard some of the.
I love it.
That has intrigued me more.
Right, as it should be.
Hey, both have a DC connection as well. One fully with the Flash, and then the other one, of course, that Barry guy plays Joker.
I got Joker, baby, and Joker's in it. All right, so from there, I don't get to come back in until number 6 with John Wick.
All right, I have Hunger Games at 2. Did either one of y'all see Hunger Games?
I saw Hunger Games. Hunger Games was a solid film.
It's 29. 29 for me.
Wow.
I told you, you would not believe my list if I read it completely to you.
All right.
I'll put it this way. Hold on, really quickly. I'll put it this way for you. I have Aquaman 2 at 55.
That seems fair.
I have Blue Beetle at 43.
Okay.
I have Megan at 40. I love you. Don't hit me. I have No Hard Feelings at 38.
That was an honorable mention for me.
Yeah, same.
35 is Renfield. Scream 6 is 32, which is a climb for that movie from part 5. And like from there, it's just like Dungeons and Dragons is 24. Okay. Like I like a lot of things, and they were all like on each other. Like that World War Z where everybody's like climbing up everybody.
Yeah.
That's how all these movies were. It's like just somebody could take it.
Okay.
My
favorite for the Hunger Games
Flash ring.
Wait. Yeah. So really quickly though, so mine was John Wick. Yours is Hunger Games. What's your next one, Wendy?
Mine at number 3 was Barbie.
Ooh, okay.
Which I mean, to me, I feel like if we want to talk about like some of the things and some of the themes of this past year, I feel like Barbie really nailed it in the sense of being meta, being funny, being light, while also tackling pretty, topical conversation that's being had, and doing it in such a very clever way. Like I've been fighting for Barbie since seeing the film. The fact that people were like, "Huh," and it generated so much hate prior. I was like, "Oh, I can't wait to see this movie and for it to succeed, and then for it to actually exceed." Like I got nervous going into that film because I was like, I've fought for this film so hard. I've backed this film so hard. It's like, what if it sucks? And then it ended up not sucking and being so much more than what I expected, which is a lot of the movies that ended up in my top 5. I think that is a common theme of I went in expecting one thing and got something totally different that was a wild journey from start to finish and was completely satisfactory. Because The Holdovers is like that. Asteroid City is 100% how they sold it is not the film. Barbie as well is completely this, meta world. TMNT is very different from what its selling is, and Oppenheimer is just a courtroom drama about physics, like for 3 hours. That's edge of your seat.
Right.
So I don't know. That's why I'm just throwing out my argument for Barbie there. I just want the pink to dominate. We had a pink shortage because of this.
And
hang on, I got Barbie covered with the Flash because he does say, "Come on, Barbie, let's go party."
Let's go party.
We got Barbie covered.
I mean, you bring up a great point. I'm gonna have to listen to Rob's talk about Hunger Games because, you try to sway me, Rob, because right now he has me on Barbie.
Peter,
come on. My thing with Hunger Games, it depends on the thing with Hunger Games is if you like musicals or not, because the movie is a musical in a world that we've seen 4 or 5 films of before, but it takes something and makes it feel new and fresh and different. It's like the beginning of the Hunger Games with this movie. You're getting a backstory of Snow, but you're getting mostly Lucy Gray's story and her beautiful singing, and that soundtrack I listen to, I think, still every day. It is a very solid put together film, and again, in a world we've seen already, but does something to where it turns it on its head to make it to where you're like, oh, this is different, this is fresh, this is a fresh take in the franchise that's been around for a while. It's been dead for a couple of years as well, and it comes out and just gives you this new feeling in that world. So Hunger Games surprised me because I didn't expect to love that movie going into it. Like Wonderful talked about with Barbie, there was apprehension because I enjoyed the other Hunger Games, but it was never something that was like, oh, I'm so excited to see this. This movie, I went in there like, oh, cool, let's see how this turns out, a musical in the Hunger Games, and it was freaking phenomenal to me.
Right. Did you end up seeing Barbie?
No, I did not.
Okay, so you haven't seen Barbie. What a discussion.
I will say this though, I will not be mad if Barbie makes the top 10.
So, and I so here's the thing. With Barbie, it made $1 billion. Yeah. I mean, this thing was a phenomenon, and I kind of feel like if it's not even mentioned, I already got it above Saltburn's above it. So, actually, you know what? I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna
makes
do you
perfect sense though.
Barbie is going to be the new number 7, and Saltburn just moved to 9. Saltburn or 8. I'm sorry, Saltburn moved to 8 because that's fucking fair. All right, so now we got 9, 10, and I do want to say this. Know this. I think we should all list an honorable mention.
Okay.
So, the list is technically 13, but okay. So
the baker's dozen,
I still have exactly. I still have John Wick 4, which I'm going to fight nail the tooth with. So whoever wants to battle with me, please. What's your next?
My next would be Megan.
Oh, wow. Okay. What about Songbird? Do you want to still fight for Songbird?
I mean, I have nothing else to add other than what I had.
Yeah. But I'm saying, do you want that to be this fight?
Against John Wick, I think it's the better.
Okay. Yeah. So wonderful. What's your next one?
Oh crap! My next one would be Asteroid City, and this is hard because
I'm fucking out. No, Asteroid City cannot be on this list.
Wow.
Asteroid City made $13, and it was all VOD from you.
I would be willing. I waited for Prime to offer it for free.
Oh my god! He didn't even pay to see the movie.
I didn't even watch it on Peacock when it was on there as well. I waited for Prime. Well, no. What I will say is, and I said it in my 10 countdown. Asteroid City, I've realized, is kind of a weird, controversial pick because it seems like one of those where people love it or hate it. There's no in the middle for this one this year. And my only thing is, I'm somebody that isn't a big Wes Anderson fan. There's maybe 2 or 3 of his films, like Rushmore, Tenenbaums, and Grand Budapest are like the 3 that I like. Asteroid City to me was the best thing I've seen of his. That's where I'll leave it, but it's a total subjective film. That's why I understand why nobody can find a middle ground on it. Why it's a love it or hate it. Because when it takes its third act reveal and turn, it's totally you either go with it or it's fuck you, I hate you, Wes Anderson, your stupid squares, I'm tired of it. I will say, hidden in that film is Scarlett Johansson's best performance to date.
Okay.
That's all I'm going to say on that, but I am okay with that film not being on the list because I understand how controversial it is.
So I also want to go with, like, for my defense of John Wick. John Wick Chapter 4 is the fourth chapter in a series and ends on the best version of that franchise. It has a standout performance with Donnie Yen as the blind assassin. It has 3 fucking action sequences that I think are better than any of the Mission Impossible action sequences this year. That stairway fight is more memorable than anything that Tom Cruise put out. It's literally got a 94 on Rotten Tomatoes. I don't even know what Asteroid City has.
I think an 80 something.
75. It has a 75. Right. So, for me, if John Wick doesn't make the top 10, because, like, and this is another kind of look at it, there's only 2 action movies truly on here, which is Guardians 3 and The Flash. If John Wick's not in this top 10, I fucking riot.
I will agree. John Wick Chapter 4 should be, because John Wick Chapter 4 would have been one of my honorable mentions. It did make my honorable mentions, and I think you nail it. I think, honestly, for the 4th chapter of a franchise, this is a film that manages to continue to improve in every single film, and this was a culmination of that improvement. Continued the story, pushed forward John Wick, continued to introduce us to new worlds, new areas of this seedy world that exists of hitmen everywhere around the world, because it truly becomes a globe-trotting film. And you're right, the action sequences in this, Keanu didn't have to fall down a flight of stairs, multiple times for this to work for our entertainment. They just crafted some of the best action sequences a film could have. Multiple times, from the opening.
On a lower budget.
Yeah, exactly.
Not a crazy budget, and it made like $400-500 million worldwide.
Yeah. So, I know I just talked up Asteroid City, but I'm going to talk up John Wick as well, because that was a film that was in my top 10 all the way until I started cranking out all those films at the end of the year.
It's the only movie out of mine since Oppenheimer and Saltburn were the only ones that moved above my list. And like everything else got hit down. And still, even after seeing action movie after action movie, it's the only one that I was like, oh, this is good. This is story. This is everything. But with that being said,
to be fair, the Hunger Games film is the 5th in a franchise that completely does something different than the other 4 films that came before it.
You're right.
It has action.
You're right. It had 14 chapters and didn't want it.
Fine with me.
No, I'm kidding. In all honesty, it's best that they did it all in one movie, because I can only imagine how pissed people would be if they split that into 2 films.
Oh, yeah.
And that, because then what are you doing? I mean, that's what hurt Mission Impossible, is the fact that people heard part 1, so they were like, oh, I'm not going. Never mind. Yeah, I'll wait till it's out.
They did that with Spider-Man as well this year, right? I remember that.
But they didn't sell
it's
that.
My biggest.
They stopped selling that, and then everybody that was in that theater was... Because I remember the loud groan, even from my own wife, who I had mentioned weeks prior that it was a part 1, but she forgot until that to be continued pop up, and everybody did the and I felt like the in person, because I was like, "What?
100%. 100. I do not understand.
I knew that's where we were ending.
I do not understand the internet. When they, when we all rile up against something, it ends up happening that way. Like, the internet was like, "Oh, we hate Brie Larson." So guess what? The Marvels didn't do well. But like, I knew these 2 Spider-Man movies since announcement that they were going to be split, and the fact that you couldn't come away with that is wild.
I know. And I will say, your conversation, you talking to me about the split of it, I'll say it on here. That was a film that was in my top 5, and I never thought would move out of my top 5.
Mhm.
And then through conversations with you, you talked to me. You convinced me to relook at the film, and I did in a different way. Where I went, it's absolutely a top 10, but
Mhm.
it's got to be lower than like I'm banking this praise too much on the animation aspect of things, which
Mhm.
definitely puts it in the top 10 conversation. But what I love of the first film,
Right.
I
Like,
was
I
I
think-
was yeah, too much of a light from the first film.
When I left the second one, I was like, I think I enjoy it better, but it not being a complete thing really bothers the shit out of me. Like, no one has a complete story in that movie. And for me, I'm just, if that's the case, I'll just watch part one because it's just retreading a lot of the same beats, except they hit it with Gwen being your front and end. your bookends.
I guess you could argue that Gwen has a complete story in that film,
Mhm.
but it's sold as a Spider-Man movie, and really it's Miles.
If it was called Spider Gwen Across
Yeah.
the Spider Verse, then sure, we can go with that.
Yeah, but
we're
it's
not.
Miles' story, so it
Right.
ends on the cliffhanger of oh,
Right. Right.
We all
All
just
right,
remember
so-
Spider-Punk. Either way,
Oh.
I will say,
Yeah.
either way, I will say, because I'm Dr. Seuss now. I'm fine putting John Wick in there. Because you know what?
I
Y'all didn't mention it.
appreciate
Bill
that.
Skarsgård, freaking awesome. in that movie.
Oh,
He
he's
is
great
he's
villain.
such a good villain in that movie.
One of the
You're
best
right.
villains of 2023.
Yeah, I give you that. Okay, so that's number 9. So number 10, because I'm not going to want something to my honorable mention, which I really find fun because I'm not even picking the order of like what things were in now. I'm just going to pick something
I
that I'm
just
like,
going
that's a
through
good
your list.
Oh,
honorable
honorable
mention.
mention could be one of the films that didn't make from our top 10, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. If you
All right.
want,
I didn't know I needed to jump into
But
like
we're
No Hard
at-
Feelings or
no,
Thanksgiving.
we're at number 10. I want you guys to discuss what you guys want. I'm stepping out.
Oh, that's tough because really I only have because the one that I'd want to hold for honorable mention that only leaves one more on my list, and that's the Holdovers. So what do you
Mhm.
got, Rob?
Oh, that I would want from my list to be on the top 10 for us.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for top 10.
God, most of the ones I would want have made the top 10. Flash is there. Talk to Me is there. I'm going to keep fighting for Hunger Games, but it's going to keep losing. So I
If
can...
you want to fight for it, fight
Well,
for it.
I don't know.
I don't
Maybe
mind
you
it.
can throw Hunger Game. Maybe we throw Hunger Games in there.
I mean, I'm not
Because the
only
against
other-
Holdovers, like I could argue for the Holdovers, but the Holdovers is going to fall more into the what you guys joke me on. Of
The
I tend to
Oscar
go-
bait?
Yeah, that is clearly an Oscar bait film.
100%. My honorable mention is going to be Iron Claw, which is an Oscar bait.
See, and I wanted the honorable mention with what I think was a not a scene, but needs to be mentioned more for people to go see horror film.
Check it out. Just check it out.
Yeah,
Right.
go seek it out.
Right.
You know, even though it's a foreign language film.
Okay, so what if Hunger Games? What if Hunger Games is 10?
I'm okay
Hunger
with that.
Games?
I did enjoy the Hunger Games film. I
Me
gave
too.
it very positive. I thought it shocked me. I didn't have an issue with the third act as much as other people seem to that
Mhm.
read the book and are always mad when you read the book. Hence, don't read a book, people. Just watch a movie.
There you
Right.
go.
Well, what
you could
really
be happier
impressed
than
me,
when you read The Shining and then watch that film.
and this is why I actually enjoy this movie a lot, and you could see it, is when this movie first popped up on Rotten Tomatoes, it was a rotten score. Like, I think it was at like 50,
Yeah.
52. And that shit climbed all the way to 65. And then on top of that, the audience score is at 90. And I'm like, obviously, once people got to see it, they saw, and it steadily has made money. Like, I think it's almost at 300 million, which the budget of it was only 100, so it's profit. You can't
Yeah.
say nothing bad about that movie.
I love you saying that audience score because all people seem to do is just crap on Rachel Zegler every second they get. And,
Well,
to see
that's the
people
internet.
that didn't bother them, to
It's-
see the social media of it all didn't bother the movie. Like, the movie stood on its own and worked out.
Well, and she gets it because, some
What she
certain,
said.
Well, yeah, she said some things about Snow White, and certain
Right.
media personalities grabbed it in some type of
Right,
ran with it in a certain circle of political aisle.
right.
So people that never had an interest in even seeing the movie are the ones that are mad.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
All right. So what's your honorable mention? Wonderful. What do you want to honorable mention?
Okay, I want to honorable mention When Evil Lurks, which is on Shudder. It came out this past year. It's sitting at a 98% on Rotten Tomatoes. Audience-wise is 81%, but I thought this was a film. This is a film that everybody was talking about, men thinking about the Roman Empire. Since I've seen When Evil Lurks, there is one specific moment in this movie that I have thought about daily, and I cannot shake. And that's just one. There are multiple moments in this movie that truly messed me up, truly were disturbing, but this was just a really interesting foreign film about possession. And what I want to give props to this year is that we saw possession films kind of re-change the way of doing it. Like with Talk to Me, it's the same concept as if you're messing with the Ouija board, but it's with talking with the hand. Teenagers screw with paranormal things that they don't know, some way, Ouija board, hand, bad things start happening. With this is a film that's like, hey, we know possession exists. The churches are by the dodo bird now because evil has kind of started taking over, and there's ways to go about cleansing evil. And what if two brothers decide not to go about those ways? What's the ripple effect of their mess up by accidentally creating an evil pandemic? And I truly, and then the ending of the movie, I really was kind of blown away by the conclusion of the film. But I love this movie. I messaged review at Rob like right after I watched it, and I was like, dude, do you have Shudder? I don't know how you feel about films that are subtitled, but you have to seek out this film. Give it a watch. And again, there is multiple moments, but one specific moment involving a child, and I'll leave it at that. That is just such a tension building scene that you know the bad is coming, but you don't know how bad it's going to be. And when it comes, it's worse than what you would have expected.
Right. Nice.
I reacted very, very loudly. there was a big, what the fuck?
Right. Wow. All right.
I'm glad you mentioned that. It was a pretty strong possession film this series this year. With that one, you had, like you mentioned, Talk to Me. I had Exorcist in my top 10, which I don't care what people say about that movie. I think that movie's perfectly fine.
It's a good movie.
We had the Pope's Exorcist this year as well, so exorcism films are still around.
I know that.
I did miss that, unfortunately.
And I know that was this year because it brought to you by WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Yes,
I missed that, but I saw Slaughterhouse.
Yeah, you watched that Skinamarink movie, so you know.
Oh, that's my worst film of the year.
There you go.
Mine's
all right.
Oh yeah. Go.
Oh, go ahead. No, go ahead.
No. I was just going to say, what's everybody's worst movie of the year? I have two.
Hold on.
I have two.
All right.
Mine is White Men Can't Jump in House Party. And I don't want to say that. Rob likes that movie. Never mind.
I have my five worst films of 2023. At number 5, Hypnotic. Ugh,
okay.
so
I didn't know we were doing that.
At number 4, We Have a Ghost. At number 3, Quasi. At number 2, You People. And number 1 was Skinamarink, or whatever the hell it is.
Skinamarink.
Turn the lights out and go to sleep for 2 hours.
Hey, mind you, people, it was my 54.
Listen, if it wasn't for Skinamarink, You People would have been number 1. Because the minute I watched that, I was like, oh my God, I hated this.
Fine, if we're going to do
a 5... Cocaine Bear.
Cocaine Bear is somewhere in the middle, right?
Nope, cocaine. So since we're only doing top 5, my one above it is Cocaine Bear.
Oh, come on.
I fucking hate that movie. That movie should not be adored by... It's nothing. Nothing happens. There's one scene that's mild. That's the problem with that movie. That movie should have been directed by someone who gave a shit. All right. Ooh. So my number 5 is Pet Sematary Bloodlines. Okay. My number 4 is Shazam 2.
Wow.
My number 3 is, I'm sorry, Rob, It's a Wonderful Knife. My next one is White Men Can't Jump, and then House Party.
Okay. I mean, you don't have to be sorry. I'm not going to sit here and say I loved that movie. I
I
mean, I didn't
know,
hate
I
it.
know.
I enjoyed
Yeah,
it
I know.
enough. But
I listened to your review.
somebody has to. Somebody has to. Yeah, I did. Honestly,
right,
looking at the movies I watched, I'm trying to think of which one that was like the worst.
Oh
Right.
wow. Yeah,
Well, why
because
you
I don't
think-
think you put together. I don't expect you sit there and put together a top 5 or.
I
Oh,
don't.
God, I
I'm very
hate these.
Kevin Smithy in the way. If I don't
Yeah.
like it, I don't want to talk about it.
You know what?
I usually
I'm-
feel that way, but
All right. I'm going to give an honorable mention. I want to stick in horror just because I do feel like we're this entire list is divulged on pop culture. And I think there's a movie that didn't get enough love in theater. I think it got a little bit where even when it's on VOD, it made a little bit of change. So much so, I think they announced a sequel to it. I did not get to see it until I bought it for Black Friday for like $5, which I'm extremely proud of. Like, that's a great buy because I won the deal. And I'm choosing The Blackening.
oh yeah,
That movie is hilarious. There are some good kills. There's great meta moments. It's definitely like almost what Scream wishes it could be right now, where they actually mention tropes and do the tropes and make fun of the tropes. So The Blackening for me.
I think that's a great pick. I really loved that movie this year. Did you see that movie this year, Rob?
No, it was on my list to get to, and I never got to it.
Oh my gosh.
It'll be on a streaming service soon, and
Yeah.
I think you'll have a ball with it.
Yeah, you're gonna
It looked fun
enjoy
from
it.
what I've seen. Yeah, it
Yeah.
looks fun.
And if I'm right,
Uh,
I do believe they are making a sequel.
Yes, they are making a sequel,
Okay.
and all I will say to you, Rob, is that you will never hear the O'Reilly Auto Parts jingle the same again.
Perfect. It's perfect.
That's the type of movie it is.
Song.
It's the
It's the
best.
best song.
Trust me, working in radio and hearing that every day, 4 times
It's so
a
good.
day, I cannot help but laugh in the studio, and I'm like, nobody else gets it. Like nobody gets it
Right.
unless you've seen the movie. You
Oh,
don't
yeah.
understand how funny this fucking dude is.
All right,
So
that,
good.
that moved it up. That moved it above watching Barbie and Oppenheimer. Now I gotta watch that one.
Wow, what a sway! What a sway!
Every list around
Not
the
that-
world's number one, Oppenheimer. You know what? You just convinced me with the O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Okay,
Yeah.
now I'm in. Oh, it's just an honorable mention? I will watch
Okay.
that first.
Yes. Speaking of honorable mentions, I didn't give mine. I'm gonna give it
Yeah.
to Wonka. I thought Wonka was very magical,
Great,
whimsical,
great choice.
very put together film
Great choice.
of something that I wasn't overly excited going into seeing either. It's like, okay, I've gotten
Yeah,
2 Wonka
same.
films already. Like, what is this Timothy Chalamet kid gonna do that's gonna give me Gene Wilder? And and he gave me Gene Wilder in that movie. I'm like, good.
Mm-hmm.
Not perfect, but I don't need perfect. I want enjoyable movies, and that movie was enjoyable from start to finish. I did forget that those films were musicals. I'm not gonna lie. I know a lot of people are
Mm-hmm.
freaking out on the internet, like, what's this, a musical? I forgot those movies are very musical driven. But I didn't hate any of it. Like immediately, I told my friend after I saw the theater, I'm like, I'm downloading this album as soon as I get home.
Yeah,
Screw it.
that first
You know?
song is so good. That first song where he has like 12 bits or shills or whatever, and he drops down to 0. So good.
Yeah. Comical,
I shed a
hilarious,
tear.
drama, all that stuff.
Yeah.
I shed a tear during Wonka.
get
It
that.
got me at the end as well, where they brought back a classic. I wasn't
Right.
prepared
Yes.
for that. Even though I was prepared for that, but I was not prepared for that in the
Right.
context of how they did it, and that is what crushed me.
Right. No, I get that. I get that. Awesome, guys. Well, so just like I said
That's my
earlier,
list.
this is the Thrill Me ranking list, which is divulged mostly pop culture stuff. So I do love this. Honorable mentions: Wonka, The Blackening, When Evil Lurks. Our number 10, Hunger Games, Ballad of Song, Steaks, and Sizzlers. Number
Yes.
9,
This
John
one-
Wick.
oh man.
John Wick 4. Number 8, Saltburn. Number 7, Barbie. Number 6, The Flash. Number 5, Air. Number 4, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem. Number 3, Oppenheimer. Number 2, Talk to Me. And our number 1 movie of the year is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. I don't hate this list.
I got the Flash on here. I can't believe I got
you
the
damn
Flash.
right you did. You damn right you did. I knew the Flash
Put it
was
at your number
one.
one.
Yeah, there's no way I'm not...
I love that movie to death.
It's not a bad movie. It's pretty good, guys. It's okay, guys. All right, so that's our list. What say you? What's your list? Do you like ours? Is ours too whatever for you? Let us know in the comments. Wonderful. Plug anything you want.
You can find me at Thrill Me Podcast Network. Yeah, I post things.
That's it. Sometimes
there's more videos coming in 2024 with me.
Possibly.
You know what? I think we got to do the radio movie one. I think that would be fun.
Well, we'll get a list. We got whole bunch of these coming. Rob, what do you got? What are you plugging?
Yes, I just released a trailer reaction to. I was apparently saying the name of the movie wrong the whole time during the trailer reaction, so that's fun.
Mousetrap?
Mickey's Mousetrap. It's not Mickey Mouse's Mousetrap. It's Mickey's Mousetrap.
So much.
So that is out there now. Whoa!
Oh God, that mouse is gonna fuck that kid. Oh my God,
it's funny because now I can get away with it. It's public domain.
It's public domain. I'm a steamboat your Willie. I'm Zach. I host Thrill Me Weekly. Eventually, Core Memory Lock is coming back, and oh boy, the list we have for you for 1993. It's going to be gorgeous. But so thanks for watching, and we will catch you on the next video.
As well on Patreon.
We got in January. We never decided the January one, right?
I thought we were going to do
No, Michael. We did. Michael
J.
The movie with John Travolta?
Michael J.
Michael J. Fox. We're doing the Frighteners.
There we go. I didn't know if you wanted
to do the Frighteners.
That's why I was just giving you act.
There it is. All right.
We're watching an Angel movie with John Travolta.
We're gonna watch John Travolta dance with some angel wings by a jukebox. Get ready. All right. Thanks for watching. Catch you on the next one.
Bye.